Welcome back to Navigating the Streams. I'm Mike DeLong, and I've gathered all the new movies coming to your streaming services in one place so you don't have to. I've got what's coming out this month, which, sadly, doesn't look all that interesting to me. And a look back to see if I missed anything in January. Without further ado, let's check out what's coming out in February. First up is Netflix. On the 3rd, we've got two things coming out. The first is a comedy special by Mo Gilligan called In the Movement, and the second is the crime comedy Honey Don't. Margaret Qualley plays a private investigator who investigates the death of a potential client. I saw it. It's got some amusing parts, but it also has some problems. There are also two things coming out on the 6th. The first is Queen of Chess, a documentary about the chess phenom Judith Polgar, and Yo Bestie, a South African rom-com. On the 7th, the Thai horror movie Death Whisper 3 comes out. 25 years after a family tragedy, a teenager finds a mysterious box that belonged to his grandfather. On the 9th, Matter of Time comes out. It's a documentary about Eddie Vedder's Seattle benefit concert. And on the 10th, How to Train Your Dragon, the live-action remake, comes to Netflix. Also on the 10th, This Is I, a Japanese LGBTQ story. A trans woman wants to become an idol star and decides to fully transition, which has positive effects on her life. However, there are negative consequences for the doctor that performed the surgery. On the 11th, Brazilian crime drama State of Fear comes out. A criminal organization declares war on police when the gang leaders are transferred to a maximum security prison and the founder's daughter is kidnapped by corrupt police officers. There are three things coming out on the 13th. The first is A Father's Miracle. It's a Mexican drama where a young girl is forced to fend for herself when her father is wrongfully imprisoned. Second, Joe's College Road Trip. It's a comedy where Medea's brother takes his grandson on a college road trip. It's right there in the title. And finally, on the 13th, Bunny. It's a dramedy about a group of friends who go out to celebrate a birthday, end up covering up a dead body, and things spiral out of control from there. On the 14th, Your Monster comes out. It's a dark rom-com where a woman finds love in an unlikely place after her life falls apart. It's in her closet, where a monster lives. On the 17th, we have a comedy special from Samore called Chandelier Fly. On the 19th, Meet, Greet, and Buy comes out. It's a Filipino drama about a woman who quits chemo and her last wish is to meet the star of her favorite Korean drama who's visiting Manila. Also on the 19th, The Swedish Connection comes out. It's a Swedish historical drama about a bureaucrat who becomes an unlikely hero as he works to save Jews during World War II. On the 20th, we have a Spanish thriller called Firebreak coming out. A young girl disappears in the woods during a massive forest fire. Also on the 20th, The Orphans comes out. It's a French action movie where two childhood friends, one who became a police officer while the other joined the mob, come together when their first love dies in a mysterious car crash. On the 24th, we have a comedy special from Taylor Tomlinson called Prodigal Daughter coming out. And that's probably the most exciting thing on Netflix for me. On the 27th, the crime action movie Trap House comes out. Undercover DEA agents are pursuing thieves who are stealing from cartels. These thieves turned out to be their children who are using the agents' intel. And finally, on the 28th, Jurassic World Reborn. The latest in the Jurassic World series has been on Peacock and is now coming to Netflix. I missed a few things on Netflix last month, including Good Night and Good Luck live from Broadway. It's a performance of the play starring George Clooney based on the movie that he wrote. Also, De De Ya Are Day 2, an Indian comedy. A young woman brings home her much older boyfriend. Soul on Fire, a faith-based film based on a true story. Magic Rompak, looks like an Indian Now You See Me. A comedy special from Kill Tony called Once Upon a Time in Texas. And Megan 2.0 came to Netflix. I've got several recommendations from Netflix as well. Free Fire, which is a movie that I probably like way too much. I saw the previews and said, if this is just a bunch of people shooting at each other in one room for 90 minutes, I will be totally satisfied. And that's what it was. Independence Day, Mrs. Doubtfire, Crazy Stupid Love, Hell or High Water, and The American President. Next up is Hulu. On the 4th, we have two comedy specials coming out. The first is Chris Spencer, GOAT Adjacent, and next we have Jackie Fabulous, You Can Leave. On the 6th, the comedy Splitsville comes out. When a couple is on the verge of divorce, their friends share their secret to happiness, an open marriage. But even that has its limits. On the 10th, Clown in a Cornfield comes out. It's a horror movie where a small Midwestern town is terrorized by Friend of the Clown, the former symbol of its success. On the 17th, Urchin comes out. It's a drama where a homeless addict is given a shot at redemption, but soon finds himself in inescapable circumstances. On the 20th, the horror movie The Astronaut comes out. An astronaut crash lands on Earth and soon fears that an alien has followed her home. On the 24th, Tornado comes out. This looks like a Western samurai action thriller. A young woman gets revenge on the gang of people who killed her father. And finally, on the 27th, we've got last year's remake of Kiss of the Spider Woman. It's a musical drama where two prisoners form an unlikely bond. A few things I missed on Hulu last month. The Freshly Cut Grass, or El Aroma del Pasto Recién Cortado. A movie that got a lot of awards buzz, but ultimately went nowhere. Just like its title, Bruce Springsteen, Deliver Me from Nowhere, and The Tale of Cillian. I also have a few recommendations for Hulu. The Hate You Give was a really great movie based on the book. La Bamba, because why not? That movie was good. And a movie I liked, The Last King of Scotland, which got Forrest Whitaker his Academy Award. If you're enjoying this video, please like and subscribe. Share it on your socials so your friends don't miss out on any new movies too. HBO Max is up with some pretty thin offerings. On the 19th, Murder in Glitterball City. It's a documentary where two lovers accuse each other of murder when a body is found in a Louisville mansion. And on the 20th, the thriller Dead of Winter. A woman in rural Minnesota realizes she's the only one who can save a kidnapping victim. A couple of HBO recommendations. Key Largo, because, like I said before, Bogart and Bacall, just so great together. And Malcolm X, one of Spike Lee's best. We've got Prime next. On the 1st, the horror movie Whistle comes out. A group of teenagers find a cursed whistle that, when blown, summons their deaths to hunt them down. On the 4th, Relationship Goals. It's a rom-com about a woman who is in competition for a promotion that she had already won with a man who she used to date and now hates. But the spark may still be there. On the 6th, we have a documentary called Finding Harmony, A King's Vision. It's a look back at the environmental philosophy developed by an organization led by then Prince Charles in the 1990s. On the 13th, Love Me comes out. It's an Italian drama where a young girl goes to an elite school after a personal tragedy and finds herself torn between the bad boy and the model student. On the 25th, the action movie The Bluff comes out. A woman's secrets are revealed when her island is invaded by pirates. And finally, on the 27th, Man on the Run. It's a documentary about Paul McCartney, Wings, and his life with Linda in the 1970s. We have an Oscar streaming update. Hamnet will be available to rent or buy on Prime sometime in the month of February. And I have one movie that I missed on Prime last month, Sinners, which I mentioned on my Oscar streaming video. There's one movie coming out on Peacock this month. On the 1st, Mob Cops. A retired NYPD detective sparks a war in the department after he publishes a book about his family's mob connections. There are two movies that I missed on my last video that came out on Peacock last month, which would make a strange double feature: Gabby's Dollhouse and Black Phone 2. I also have some Peacock recommendations. The Burbs, which is a great 80s comedy. Challengers, which I didn't think I would like, but ended up liking well enough. Queen and Slim, and My Cousin Vinny. Paramount Plus is next. On the 1st, Blue-Eyed Girl comes out. It's a romantic dramedy where Jane is forced to reevaluate her life and think about what might have been when she comes back home to visit her sick father and sees old friends. Also on the 1st, Marshmallow comes out. It's a horror sci-fi movie where an awkward boy is forced to go to summer camp. When there, he believes he sees the subject of a horror campfire story come to life in the woods that begins to terrorize the camp. I missed one thing that came out in January on Paramount Plus, last year's remake of The Running Man. Also a few Paramount Plus recommendations: Almost Famous, Cinema Paradiso, which I believe won the first foreign language Oscar in the 80s, 16 Candles, which I probably saw way too young, The Hurricane, which is a great Denzel Washington movie, and To Catch a Thief, because I love Cary Grant. There's nothing new coming out on Disney Plus. However, last month, Tron Ares came out. Finally, we have Apple TV. On the 13th, the comedy Eternity comes out. Joan is dead, and she has 1 week to decide where she will spend eternity. With a man she married and spent her life with, or with her first love, who died young and has been waiting for her for decades. That's all we have for this month. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this streaming video. Are you as disappointed in this month's fare as I am? Let me know in the comments which of my recommendations you're checking out. Also, I released a video letting you know where you can find each of the Oscar-nominated movies, so be sure to check that out. My next video will be a review roundup of everything I watched in January. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.